the old one for NASCAR. Run the chute.
It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's IndyCar Night in America. Built during the track boom of the late 90s and early 2000s, Gateway did not fit the mold of its contemporaries. Rather than the typical 1.5-mile D-shaped, high-banked cookie-cutter oval track that was typical of the time, Gateway was built as a 1.25-mile, egg-shaped flat track that was unique in its own right. Call it an intermediate short oval, if you will. There isn't much in the world to compare to it. Gateway from the air resembles Motegi and Darlington, but behind the wheel, drivers found it has more in common with places like New Hampshire, Phoenix, and Milwaukee. It could be argued that the 1999 race here is one of where the it could be argued where the 1999 race here was where the world first learned about little-known Brazilian driver Helio Castroneves. Castroneves, driving for a severely underfunded Hogan Racing organization, managed to pilot his car to a second-place finish. The finish was Hogan's best, but to those watching from home, it was more notable for Elio's tears of happiness post-race interview where he was overjoyed at just finishing second to Michael Andretti. Little would we know that this finish, combined with the unfortunate death of Greg Moore later in the season at Fontana, would be the two events that would lead to the eventual pairing of Castroneves and Team Penske. Only 2 years later, on this very same weekend, Helio would go on to score his first of a record-tying 4 Indy 500 wins. And the rest, as they say, is history. Hello again, everybody. I am Gary Gotso, and welcome to Race First coverage of Round 5 of Season 1 of 2022 of the Monday Night Indy Fixed Top Split, coming to you from Gateway. Joining me again for expert analysis in the booth from the NHR eSports team in the Lionheart IndyCar Series is Stephen Larkamp. Stephen, tell me, even oval specialists have a hard time here. Why is that?
Well, I think you alluded to that point pretty succinctly early on. There's really not much to compare Gateway Motorsports Part 2. From the outside, you could argue that it looks from the surface like a track like Darlington, except with a lot less banking to it. It drives a bit like New Hampshire, except a lot more banking to it, and the corners are not all the same. So there really is not much of a point of comparison here, especially since we've gotten so used to a lot of oval tracks, particularly the often derided cookie-cutter mile-and-a-half tracks, that while they may have their little quirks to them, they drive in a way rather similar to each other in many regards. Gateway doesn't have that distinction, and in many ways, as much as I personally am not the biggest fan of driving this track, of course it depends on the setup for me, but this track it's got a lot of character to it because of that, and it leads to a very unique format of racing, a very unique style that not only relies on a lot of momentum being carried, but a lot of skill by the drivers and all their equipment working the way they wanted to. And as such, Gateway can turn out to be a very exciting venue, as we often see in real life in the NTT IndyCar Series, and we'll likely be seeing that here tonight in the virtual world.
All right, as we are getting ready to grid up here for tonight's race, currently showing Christopher Willite on the pole, and Nicholas Sudik fresh off his win in the Velocity Online Racing Series this weekend at at Fontana. And then sitting third there is Jesper Orman. So let's get the tonight's starting lineup down here. And if you'd like to do those honors, you may go ahead and do that there, Stephen.
And actually, we had a bit of a miscue there, because on the pole, the first driver below a 25-second lap time with a 24.976 is the number 3 of Jesper Orman, who is on pole position.
Not showing that. My timing and scoring must be up. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and right alongside him, as you mentioned, is the number 1 machine of Chris Wilhite, who scored a great victory at Michigan earlier in the season. We'll see if he's able to pull that off tonight. Alexander Henry in the number 18 machine, a relatively new face to the Monday night broadcast, will put his number 18 machine in P3. Very good effort for him. Bruno Miranda, the winner at Indianapolis, and had a strong going at Road America last week until the tires got the better of him. He will roll off 4th. Mark A. Murphy in the number 11 will be 5th, alongside the 7 of our old friend Joao Ritter. Nicholas Sudik in the number 2 will roll off 7th, alongside friend of the show, of course, the number 6 machine of Dakota DeMague. Aaron McQuarrie will roll off 9th in car number 16, alongside the number 8 of Guillermo Parkel. And that rounds out the top 10. Trey Shadid will roll off 11th in the number 4, alongside the 15 of Tim Williams. Adriano Fraporti, who is having connection issues early on, he's had a rough qualifying. He'll roll off 13th, alongside the 13 machine of Marcio Baroni. Alan Morea in the number 14 will roll off 15th, alongside the 5 of Joao Andorossi. Brian Spots' number 10, one of the first drivers that have not post-qualifying times, will be 17th, alongside the 18 of Austin Rich Miller. And rounding out the field, shotgun the field, 19th position, a pretty small field tonight, will be the 19 machine of Jim Wallen.
Timing and scoring is all askew tonight for some reason, but that's all right. When the race gets underway, it will cycle itself out. Unfortunately, the starting lineup is a little off kilter, so want to make sure that we give all the credit to Jesper Orman for getting that pole position. And still shout out to my good pal Nicholas Sudik there, who still got his win, but he's one of my wrestling pals, so I'll give him the shout out. Anyways, we don't get to see him very often in the top split. He's normally working this time during the day, so it's good to see him. We're getting ready to go green here for a daytime run here at Gateway in the shadow of the arches. Calling the start here, Stephen Larkamp.
Race car peels off. Very abrupt entry here. Of course, the Gateway. Yorman gets on the throttle. Green flag in the air. We are underway just east of St. Louis. Orman with a really good jump over Will Height there. Meanwhile, behind them, they're too wide with Bruno Miranda and Alexander Henry. Henton and Miranda working that top line, which certainly is viable in 1 and 2. He clears them. Everyone's starting to get themselves in order. Behind them, Mark Murphy and Joao Ritter in a battle for P5, actually, and among others, too. So working their way off of turn 4 is going to be Orman with a good lead over Will Height, and too wide once again between Henry and Miranda. Henry will clear him that time. Miranda actually really big push there in the middle of 1 and 2, and now he's coming under pressure from Joao Ritter for P4. To the inside in turn number 3. Miranda trying to make that top line work once again. You can certainly do that here, even though it's not quite as easy in 1 and 2. And they've got Nicholas Sudik in the number 2. You mentioned he's your wrestling buddy, Gary. He's certainly wrestling with these guys pretty hard early on.
Oh, there he gets a heck of a run off of 2 underneath the 7 there of Joao Ritter, and he's going to have the position going into turns 3 and 4, but that's still not a sure thing because that high line of 3 and 4 is the better way around. And right there you see the equalizer right there.
You see it right there. Joao Ritter working that top line here. It's easier to do that in daytime conditions where there's not as much grip on the racetrack, and as such, there's not as much grip in 1 and 2. And likewise, once again, he's trying to make that top line work in 1 and 2. Oh, and Sudik is around. Doesn't hit anybody, though. Caution is still out. Looks like he might be able to continue. He is. He's getting that car spun around. Gets it back underway, but bad luck there for Nicholas Sudik, doing everything he could to get up there alongside Ritter. But fortunately for him, he'll continue to have a chance.
Yeah, we'll watch that replay right here from the start of turn 2. Like he just kind of comes off, gets back on the power, and the back end comes around. And you know what? That's kind of a common place where the cars do tend to lose the back end right there off of turn 2.
Certainly easy to do that. It's one of those rare corners in the IndyCar Series where you pretty much either have to lift or brake, and you pretty much drive it like a road course, even if you are working a bit of a higher line. And with running that lower line with less grip on tap, it was one of the common places where you would see a lot of problems coming off the corner there. Bad luck there for Nicholas Sudik.
Still a little early to pit. We're only 5 laps in of 75 scheduled here. Just east of St. Louis. We're actually in Illinois. This is what they call considered East St. Louis. This is a whole motorsports facility featuring infield road course. Has a go-kart track here, has a drag strip here. A little bit of everything if you're an automotive fan, auto racing fan here. And the IndyCars are returning. Have been actually coming to this track for the last solidly for the last 3 or 4 years, and the Barmaretto group that puts on the promotion here has put on really a full court press at getting a lot of butts and seats here, and probably outside of maybe some of the older road course facilities that we see a lot of people at, such as your Road America and Long Beach, and of course outside of Indianapolis. This has one of the more higher attended races on the schedule. They've done a good job at putting butts in seats, as I like to say.
They've certainly done a fantastic job, the Bommarito group has, over the last few years. And to me, it goes to show that a lot of venues can work in a lot more places than you would expect. It's all down, but it's down to the promotion to get the people interested. Say, hey, this is happening right here. You won't want to miss this. And IndyCars racing in the St. Louis area, it certainly seems to be a really good example of that. And we see it also with tracks like Road America, like you mentioned, and Laguna Seca's return. That certainly has been much well received by so many people, not just in the racing community, but people who just want to go out for a great night and see some great action happening in any sort of sport. And I personally hope that with their continued efforts and the fact that word of mouth seems to spread pretty quickly, especially when you have some really good races like what's happening at Gateway in real life. That could well lead to a long tradition of seeing IndyCars racing in the shadow of the Gateway Arch. Maybe even have some NASCAR races here in the future.
Yeah, we don't care about NASCAR. Yeah, we don't care about that. No, if you're interested, if you're interested in actually going to a race at Gateways, if you're from the Indianapolis area, it's a really easy drive. It's just pretty much 4 hours west on I-70, and you're going to pass it even before you get to the mighty Mississippi. And if you've gone to the Mississippi and you haven't noticed the racetrack, you've gone too far and you haven't been looking.
Certainly not. I've been to St. Louis before, but I missed it when I was here. Granted, I was a little kid when I was here. But speaking of missing something, you won't want to miss this. Pace cars peeling off. We're ready to go back to green. Jesper Orman leads them to the start, gets a good run once again. Will Height trying to go with him. Green flag back in the air. But meanwhile, for P3, once again, that battle between Alexander Henry and Bruno Miranda is getting back in business once more. Miranda on the low line trying to make it work there. He understeers way up, and that's going to get Joao Ritter to the inside.
You know, a little evasive maneuver there to get into that position, but he's hold on to the position going into 3 and 4.
Well done by both of them there. I'm sure that's not what Bruno Miranda would have wanted to see. Just going to make that battle all that much harder for them. But meanwhile, Ritter setting his sights already on Alexander Henry. He tries to work that low line in 1 and 2. Not quite doing it there. Henry's going to be able to maintain on that high line there. Meanwhile, up front, Jesper Orman is about a half-second lead over Chris Wilhite. And once again, Ritter trying to use that low line in 3 and 4, whereas Henry seems to be running really strong defense up on that high line.
Bruno Miranda, and that last week he was in that I think he was in the Allenser Jr. throwback, and well, I take that back. It might have been the I know it was with one of the Valvoline throwbacks. It might have been the Walker Racing. This week he's in the Marlboro Team Penske throwback. Very appropriate for this race. Marlboro Team Penske, Paul Tracy won the very first pole position here while driving for Marlboro Team Penske at a 187 miles per hour. The actual track record is actually held by Team Penske on the IndyCar side of things with Will Power at the 189.
Fantastic. And you think that with the IndyCars the way they are now, they seem a lot slower than they would be on super speedways. You compare it to the kart days in the late 90s, early 2000s. But now, as we're seeing with these cars here, with the big wings on these smaller ovals, we're seeing lap record pace year upon year. As now, Joao Ritter getting a run once more on Bruno Miranda. Miranda had a massive twitch coming off of turn number 2. He's going to run down low. That's actually Mark Murphy.
Yeah, Mark Murphy. We got 3 red cars right in a row here that are kind of morphing into one another, especially the way that Miranda is literally on the gearbox of Murphy there.
Murphy with a really good move there. Good capitalization.
Taking a peek to the inside.
Miranda looking low. Can he actually will clear him in the middle of the corner, but Murphy's going to try and get a run off there. Not quite doing there. That number 12 machine will hold on to P5.
Actually, we actually might have radio coverage tonight. Probably should turn that off, but we'll see what happens if it gets too vocal, and we'll turn that off. So it looks to me, Mark Murphy, if I don't know better, isn't that a Stroker Ace throwback from Stroker Ace, the movie? He's the chicken pit.
Let's see here. I'm only seeing a normal. I'm only seeing actually. Trying to get a good view of Murphy's car here, but I'm not really quite getting the camera angles I like to see. I
think that's a throwback for the movie Stroker Ace. Oh, and then we're looking for a battle up front here. Never mind old movies, but we got side by side Miranda and Ritter going into turns 1 and 2, still side by side on the exit of 2.
does
over
clear
under
him there in 1 and 2. Ritter trying to get the cutback though once more. And all of this, I'm noticing, this is allowing the leaders to pull away quite considerably. The top 3, Alexander Henry in P3 has a 2-second lead over these guys, but that was really close there from Bruno Miranda. Came up a little bit close to that wall there off of 4.
And Port Dakota has no place to go. He can just follow here.
Dakota DeMeg has gained a position here over the course of this race. He started 8th. He's now 7th, just playing it nice and consistent. Caution's out. I see
Rich Miller in turn 2.
Austin Rich Miller in the number 17.
Actually, we are on the the Race Verse 1 air cam right here in the airship, and we will check this out. What happened? Looks like he gets... Oh, okay, so the car right in front of him, not sure who was on the high side, gets loose. He manages to get underneath there. Starts to have the back end come around. Very similar to Sudik. Again, very slow, lazy spin. Does not look like he made contact with anybody. Not sure who. It might have been Jim Wallen that got the closest, and I think he might have just checked up just enough to avoid any damage. But I think now we will actually see maybe the first of the pit stops, and we're back to the live shot here, and we're watching Jesper Orman, Wilhite, and I believe Murphy making the turn on the pit road, staying out. Mark Murphy is staying out. Excuse me. I'm talking about Miranda is also staying out. So I only got a couple coming into the pit right now.
Joao Ritter has stayed out as well. And one more, Trey Shadid has also stayed out here, but a number of the front runners have come in. Jesper Orman, Chris Wilhite, Alexander Henry, Dakota DeMeg in as well, Aaron McQuarrie. So so this is going to be an interesting split in strategy here. So Orman and Wilhite are going to be on fresh rubber, on full tanks, and they're going to be expecting to go pretty much all the way to the checkered flag on this tank of fuel. Of course, they have one more set of tires that they can use later on in the going if they wish, and a caution does come out. But this is going to be an interesting call here for the people that stay out, and I'm always kind of wary in these moments that Miranda, Murphy, and Ritter, they have all taken a gamble here in staying out and hoping that the race goes on for long enough that they will get another caution. They'll get another caution before they're coming in for their green flag stops, because realistically, that's the only way I can see this sort of strategy working, because more likely than not, it will force Orman and Wilhite to come in as well for fresh tires.
Yep, you're right. And they're still a little early even for making a pit stop to the I don't think the window to get to the finish is quite open, is it?
From what I've seen of these cars, they normally would get about 50 laps here.
But we're pushing it.
Yeah, they're pushing it like about 50, 55 laps, maybe even 60.
Okay.
So it is a fairly open book. These guys are pretty close to the number, I would suspect, on fuel. So the question mark I have here, and by that I mean that Orman and Wilhite and the like, they all might well be good to go if they save fuel a little bit and make it all the way to the end of this race. Maybe a few cautions will help out here. But Miranda, Murphy, and Joao Ritter have laid a pretty interesting bed, and laid a pretty interesting bed. Now they have to lay in it.
We are momentarily away from going green as these cars are now entering turns 3 and 4 at the far end of the racetrack. Lights are off on the pace car. Field is in the control of Bruno Miranda, followed by Murphy, Ritter, Shadid, and Baroni. Your top 5, and here we go. Miranda's already on the power, and we're underway. Miranda looking to the low side of Murphy. Can't do that before the start-finish line. Back in line, and we are underway here. Lap 21 of 75 at Gateway.
I'm sure Ritter was a bit anxious there to get by Murphy there, but no, you cannot pass before the start-finish line on the inside at least. That's why you see everybody running up on the high line. But a good jump so far for Bruno Miranda. That's exactly what he needed, and especially to catch out Murphy and hold up Ritter behind him. But keeping an eye once more on the cars that pitted. Jesper Orman back in 7th, Chris Wilhite in 8th, Alexander Henry in 9th. They got
and that sets Murphy in the wall.
Mark Murphy. Oh no, was that Chris Wilhite? Wilhite's in it too. A few more piled in as well. Brian Spots is one of them. Tim Williams.
It is, yeah. Will Hite is one of them.
Will Hite with a completely smashed up race car there. That is game over for one of the fast cars tonight.
All right, let's just settle back here in time and watch what happens. He's just coming into turn 2, and maybe a little under braking, and the back end comes around, and well, they were too wide behind him, and we got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 cars involved in this one. And yeah, we've got a couple guys already lamenting a little bit on the radio about tough luck early on here on lap 23.
Yeah, and you look at Will Hite's situation there. He already sees Mark Murphy up in the wall there, up next to the wall. And unfortunately for Will Hite, there was a car down low. There was not much room he could have gone without causing another incident. So fortunately for Will Hite, it was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And unfortunately for all of them, it means it's game over.
Make sure that we're not hearing anything that shouldn't be. Go ahead
taking full responsibility for it. It was just an unfortunate error there that caused that incident. He says he just flat out lost it, and unfortunately true. But it's one of those things where Gateway is never an easy track at the best of times for a lot of people, and unfortunately with the conditions we're running in right now, it just makes it that little bit trickier. And it seems like just caught another victim here tonight, and unfortunately it was a couple of our fast guys. Yeah,
and this is one of those places that much like Phoenix and much like Pocono, where we're talking about different corners of the racetrack, different radiuses of the turns. Having your car set up necessarily to work in turns 3 and 4 might not be the way it wants to work in turns 1 and 2. So you need to make a decision of where do you want your car to work the best, through 1 and 2 or through 3 and 4. And we'll often find a lot of times the default setup, if you remember getting on the default setup here very often there, Steven, is it by default the default setup is pretty darn loose.
I've actually rarely played with a default set in these cars, especially since I know that more often than not it's not really going to work at the track I'm looking at here. But the one thing that they're talking about right now, Will Hite in particular, that this set is rather tight, and you could see it with how people were struggling in the middle of the corner, in both corners, on both ends of the speedway, and they're having to fight an understeering race car there. Of course, they have a weight jacker, and they have the anti-roll bars to attempt to compensate for that, but it's still something that you have to be wary of, especially, as I keep saying every week here, aero push. It's always going to be a thing, even on the small tracks with the big wings, and that's certainly going to be the case tonight.
Getting ready to go green. Field will be shortly under the command of Bruno Miranda, Trace Shadid, Alan Moreira, Jesper Orman with those new tires has moved up to 4th. Alexander Henry in 5th. We got 15 cars remaining on the track. 15 cars on the lead lap. 4 are standing in the pits right now. Will Hite, Murphy, Williams, and Spots. We're back underway, going into turn 1.
Miranda with a massive jump once more. Caught Trace Shadid off guard with how early he went. Moreira now putting the pressure on Shadid for P2. Shadid trying to cut him off there in the middle of the back straightaway there, but Moreira now trying to work that high line once more. This seems to be one of the preferred lines for a lot of people there. Not quite getting the run in the middle of the corner, but getting good momentum off it. But Shadid is able to hang on to P2, but over a 1-second lead right now for Bruno Miranda. A dream restart for him.
Early on board with Moreira. Down the 4th gear, 5th gear down the back straight, right there by the opening of the back wall, through turns 3 and 4. Kind of a breather of the accelerator down the main straight here in turn for 5th gear. Going to take it up to 6 probably. There he goes. And he'll probably go down as many as 2, possibly 3 here in turns 1 and 2. Look down. Yep, there he goes, 3rd gear. And he's got a great run on Shadid on the outside, but he just knew Shadid was going to wash up and didn't want to stick his nose in there. Probably a wise decision And we're continuing to watch Miranda go off in the distance, but I got to think Shadid is kind of holding Moreira up, who has a run on the outside, 2, 3, and 4, slides up the wall, up the hill a little bit, and we'll see if Jesper Orman's going to get a good run on him now. No, Jesper Orman's actually got a little bit of space between the two. He might be sitting back watching how this thing pans out.
Probably is the interested spectator at this point. Once again, we see Shadid pushing up on exit there. Moreira now has a good run on him down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Down to the low line. Can Shadid hold on to that top line? No, he's not.
Over under, he hits the wall.
Is that... It looks like
that was Moreira. He definitely skinned his knee, so to speak, and he's loose off.
He is majorly loose off.
And then it is bound, and it is just bound up behind him. We are 3 wide going to the turn 3. Dakota DeMay goes, I'm out of this one. And there goes Moreira into the wall. And so we had apparently he's got some damage, but I don't know. We're not yellow yet, so he is still going, but he is definitely not going to be a part of this race any longer.
No caution yet by some minor miracle of the iRacing gods. Alexander Henry, meanwhile, is taking advantage of all that. He's gotten by Jesper Orman, and now he's looking to the inside of Shadid for P2.
Watching Moreira. Okay, he just punched out. So no yellow, and Bruno Miranda is all by himself by about 5 seconds.
This has been a boon for Bruno Miranda right now. I'm sure he was kind of wondering if there was going to be a caution or not if he saw what was happening. But an interesting situation here.
I don't think he saw what happened. I think the guys behind him saw what happened and let off the throttle, thinking that maybe they're going to get a yellow. Miranda never saw it, so he never had a reason to let off the throttle, and all of a sudden he's got himself a 5-second lead for everyone that hesitated. I got to think that's probably what happened.
Probably was, and Miranda's got to be relishing it right now. It's a 5.1 second lead for that number 12 machine. But interestingly also is that among the guys on fresh tires, it's Alexander Henry leading the pack there. He managed to get a great pass on Jesper Orman using some of the slowing up cars there as a pick. Amazingly done there by Alexander Henry. So we got 2 guys on fresher rubber up in positions 2 and 3. But interestingly right now, they're not really making up too much ground at the moment. It's still staying around steady, about 5.1 seconds from Henry to Miranda. But that is all.
Jim Wallen. Jim Wallen around off the exit of 4. Looks like no damage on his part. Another lazy spin. Off the corner of 2. Another lazy spin there coming off of 2, much like we've seen with the last 2 incidents coming off that corner. Let's go back in time a little bit in the Wayback Machine and see what happens here as he is trying to collect himself.
As you say, it's just another lazy spin there coming off at turn number 2. He lost grip in the rear, and the car just snaps around on him. Beautiful save, though, I will say, by Jim Wallen, and good job on everyone else avoiding
everyone else, yeah. Oh, that was Joe Ritter. Like, where do I go? And he picked the right side, and Wallen's okay, but he's going to have to. I don't know if he wants. He's been he's only 16 laps into his stint. He's probably on a second set of tires. Is he going to have to stop and maybe get that last set and have to ride it out for the next 40 laps on an old set of tires? I don't know, but yeah, you probably don't want to be on. Yeah, he's on pit road. You don't want to be on those tires after you do a spin, so it's probably just behoove him to get that last set on and kind of hope it.
And Miranda's in too.
Yeah, kind of hope it works itself out. We'll take a look at Miranda on pit road. So that's Miranda and Shadid are both on pit road. So Alexander Henry stays out.
Yep, and Jesper Orman and Dakota DeMay, they have all stayed out. They pitted earlier, of course, and this caution is only helping their fuel mileage. But right now, the tables have kind of turned with Bruno Miranda now on the freshest rubber amongst the guys that were up front. But of course, he doesn't have the track position that he had before, and the same is true with the guys behind them as well. Trace Shadid was among them as well. So so both of them have got a lot of ground to make up now, but they have the fresher rubber to do it. The question is, how much is that going to be a benefit?
There we are looking at the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, just across the river. If you're just joining us, we are now a little close to halfway done here on the Monday night Indy split here at Gateway. Our current leader is Alexander Henry. We're in our third or fourth caution of the race. Kind of odd for a top split to have that many cautions, but I think these guys are kind of getting caught out by a little bit of the same thing off in turn one. Right now we got 14 cars now left on the lead lap, showing Morera and Williams multiple laps down after getting their cars fixed. This was kind of a, because of the number of registrants, a bit of a smaller split. So right now, like I said, only 14 cars on the lead lap left, and this continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Indeed, and one of the things that we mentioned why the field is getting smaller and smaller, of course, we see all these lazy spins off of 1 and 2, and that leads me to the point that it's rather hard to set up a car properly for this circuit. What works in 1 and 2 doesn't necessarily work in 3 and 4, and it seems like this set works rather well in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 on exit seems to be its Achilles heel.
Loose, 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 it looks like.
Indeed, and tight, tight, tight almost
everywhere else. Yeah.
It's a combination that a lot of drivers would not necessarily like, and even amongst some of the best drivers that would sign up for Monday night, usually the SOF events for the Indy Fixed Series. And when we see this happening, even some of the guys that drive this car almost exclusively, they're having a hard time with it. That should say a thing or two about how the setup feels.
I think Henry is looking at conserving some fuel. He's taking that low line all the way around. And remember, the lower you go, the shorter your distance is around this track, and maybe saving valuable ounces of fuel to get him to the end. Hey, if you enjoy Race First coverage of the Monday Night Indy Split and you respect the weekly stream, make sure you support us by smashing the like button below and subscribe to the Race First channel so you don't miss out on the next race. So make sure, let's see, we got 8 people watching now. I see 4 likes, so 4 of you guys owe us likes. So go ahead and hit that button while we're here under caution. Get it taken care of now, and we'll get back under the green by the time you're done pushing that button.
R1 to green. The pace car will come in. It will be Alexander Henry leading the way. Not a very familiar face to us tonight, but he has been certainly getting his name out there for sure. Very good effort for him thus far. Can he capitalize on this with a possible win? But he's got the veteran Jesper Orman and Dakota DeMeg and Nicholas Sudik in P4 behind him. Pace car is down. Henry gets on the throttle. Green flag back in the air. We're underway. And Jesper Orman is left in the dust right now on that restart. Not exactly the one he wanted there. And he's going to be under pressure from Dakota DeMeg as Henry works his way through 1 and 2.
Remember, Sudik has gone from the back to the front, from the front to the back. And he has got his hands full, but he is definitely reeling him in, making up all those spots that he lost early on in the race.
May looking to the inside of Orman for P2 there. Not quite there yet, but he is harrying him all the way down the front straightaway. Having a look in 1 and 2. Not quite doing it there, though. He's going to be running a bit lower there. Once again, playing that little game of find the clean air. As almost close to that wall there was Jesper Orman and a few cars in the pack behind him.
Yeah, I think I saw a twitch from, might have been Miller or Ritter back there coming off. Ooh! Jesper almost into the turn 4 wall. He got it back under. It looks like he made a bit of a twitch coming off the wall, like a jerk of the wheel. Like he maybe got it a little too close. He's now recovered, taking that high line through turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Still has Dakota DeMeg hot on his track. Right behind him is Nick Sudik and P5 Adriano Fraporti. We'll take a look right back there. We got 2 cars side by side. Austin Rich Miller, Aaron McClory, and Joe Ritter now are making a 4-car battle for P5.
Rich Miller, who started towards the back, now looking to the inside of Adriano Fraporti.
Oh, you just wash up when you go low, and he hangs on. McQuarrie almost into the wall.
That was really close there by Aaron McQuarrie, but Austin Rich Miller doing everything in his power to get up alongside the number 9 machine. Nothing quite doing it there, but a hero's drive thus far by Austin Rich Miller. He looks to the inside once more going into 1 and 2. He had a good run last time. Let's see if he can hold on to that momentum on that middle.
Oh! Before he slides up, Miller gets the pass. Now he's not quite clear, and he's going to get evened up a little bit coming into turns 3 and 4. McQuarrie doesn't have really a spot to go. Watch this high line once again. Here comes Fraporti on the outside. And I got to say, I found out the symbolism with Austin Rich Miller's car. That is the Miller American, driven by Danny Sullivan for the winning car of the 1985 Indy 500. So putting his name to work, the Miller American Special.
Fittingly, the spin and win car, and we've seen a few spins here tonight. Hopefully
and I think he did spin on one.
I believe he might have earlier, yes.
Here's Joe Ritter on the inside of Aaron McQuarrie. McQuarrie had the lift coming out of 3, but he's not quite able to pull that off. As you see, the low line to turns 1 and 2, trying to get that pass, is not the preferred line.
Certainly not. It may be a tighter radius, but the problem is it's a tighter radius. You're not getting the run in the mid-corner that you need to get the launch off of exit. But McQuarrie trying to look around for Porty, trying to harry them to that position. And Joao Ritter, he's been harrying these guys equally the last few laps, but hasn't been able to make the momentum work for him thus far.
Here comes McQuarrie.
Oh, they're spinning behind those. Bruno Miranda. Miranda's around.
Wallen around.
Was that
Wallen? Jim Wallen, yeah. And once again, he needs to go buy himself a lottery ticket at the end of the night. That's 2 times around and not hitting a soul.
I'm sure his hair may be permanently raised on the back of his neck after this race for that happening twice. But well done, not just for Wallen for keeping it relatively under control, but also for everyone else once again avoiding both him and Bruno Miranda. So it's showing that even if these guys are struggling with the setup there, they can still dodge.
Oh, same thing, and everyone just dodging around. And actually, Wallen didn't even hit him. It looks like Wallen was trying to slow down, and of course, when you slow down on these cars, that takes speed off the wings. Wings provide the downforce, so you kind of unload the car a little bit. And he kind of just did a lazy spin to the inside. Again, not hitting anybody. Lucky on his part. But, does he make that move down pit road to, I think he might be on his last set of tires, to be honest with you. So that's probably the last thing Wallen wants right now.
Miranda's coming in, though. He is going to get on that fresh rubber, though. About to be getting lap 48 here out of 75, so this will be the last set of tires that Miranda has at his disposal. He's going to have to work all the way up there without any new rubber to rely on.
I got to think the more cautions we have, though, those that are at the front that made that pit stop about 29, 30 laps ago are... the numbers are starting to add up a little bit more and more for making it there on that one stop where they just pitted during that second caution, or third caution, I do believe.
Certainly shaping up to be that way right now. Of course, track position on a smaller oval is certainly something you really want. Even if you are on fresh tires, it's going to be really hard to pass people.
Yeah, and I agree to that, and I don't really think, and I'm not a big fan of this racetrack, but honestly, 2 of my career wins on iRacing have come here, and I can't tell you why this track seems to agree with me and my style, but for whatever reason. But my experience is, even with new tires here at this place, it's not that much of an advantage because the aero push negates so much.
It does negate quite a bit here, and even fresh tires or 60-lap old tires, you're still going to have to feather the throttle, work the brakes, work your adjustments. You're still going to have that to worry about, so fresh tires are not as big a factor as they would be in another situation here. And with these guys staying out as long as they did on their fuel and saving even more, of course, under the yellow flag, Alexander Henry, Jesper Orman, Dakota DeMeg, and Nicholas Sudik, they are looking in a very strong position overall at the end of this race.
Yeah, we're quickly coming to just 25 to go. Is this kind of starting to fly by? But we've had a little bit of eye pacing here tonight. Nothing too horrible. We've had that one 4-car incident, but most of the other cautions have been a lazy spin coming off of turn 2. Most of the time hitting absolutely nothing.
That's been a very, very fortunate for a lot of people. I'm sure that it's very good for their virtual wallets that their cars are not taking the hits that they could have. And again, it's really showing not just how challenging Gateway could be and how much that these guys may have a hard time preparing for a circuit as unique as this. But at the same time, it's also showing that that these guys can avoid a wreck if it does happen, even if the track is as hard to pass people as Gateway is.
Well, if you're enjoying tonight's coverage of the top Monday Night Indy Top Split, be sure to join us next week at this same time when the Top Split Series is going to move to Las Vegas. But we're going to probably see a little bit of a return to pack racing, but certainly 200-mile-per-hour plus laps there at the 1.5-mile oval in the desert. A little bit more pedestrian speeds today, 170 or so during race laps, 174 plus or thereabouts. So not quite as fast as we'll be next week, but next week we're looking at a whole different style of racing. Getting ready to go green.
Pace car lights are out. We'll have one lap to green coming to the end of lap number 50. 25 laps to go at the stripe. We're two-thirds of the way through this final third. This one's shaping up to be pretty exciting between all of the leaders here as they fight it out and hopefully not put themselves in the wall.
McQuarrie and Ritter in this group here have the slightly fresher tires, but everyone else from first to sixth on the same stint, 31 laps. And we are back underway. And Alexander Henry, great jump over Jesper Orman.
Yes, indeed. Alexander Henry, bit close to that wall.
Yeah, it was.
Good jump. Clean air really working to his advantage right now. Alexander Henry with a big lead over Jesper Orman. And now he is under pressure once again from that number 6 of Dakota DeMay. He's had a pretty quiet race, but that quiet race has been pretty effective. Meanwhile, behind them, Austin Rich Miller making noise as he comes up alongside Nicholas Sudik for P4. And he gets a run a little bit in the middle of the corner. They're still side by side down the back straightaway.
Reporting crowding McQuarrie a little bit going in there down the back stretch.
McQuarrie and Ritter going
Miller
at it.
clear.
Austin Rich Miller up to P4 in the Danny Sullivan tribute. Nicholas Sudik now under pressure once again from Adriano Fraporti, who himself is under pressure from Aaron McQuarrie. Pushes up way
a little
there.
loose coming off the corner.
A little bit loose there, yes. But meanwhile, all this has checked them up and it's opened the door for Guillermo Barkel to look to the inside of McQuarrie as Ritter goes side by side with him. Still going to be McQuarrie that holds on to position number 7. But everyone in this pack here fighting hammer and tongs to get up there. Oh, Fraporti's around! Is there going to be a caution on this one? He's in the grass there. He gathers it back up.
No, he's pointed straight. I don't think we're going to get a caution here.
Good save by Fraporti. Unfortunately, it has cost him a lot of position. No caution is out. We continue racing. But McQuarrie now going up alongside Nicholas Sudik for P5 here. Sudik having a bit of a struggle right now as we've got fast guys on fresher tires starting to make up ground.
Yeah, told you McQuarrie and Ritter had slightly fresher tires over the next two guys. Go back and look at those two guys there. Ooh. You're right.
Barkel came really close to making contact with Sudik, but all this, Sudik has gotten freight trained in about the amount of time it takes me to utter the words.
So here's Sudik with a good run off of 2. Let's see, he gets on the back end of Guillermo here. We'll take a look on the inside. Right behind him is Marcio Baroni.
Sudik looking to the inside in 3 and 4. Gets
2 by 2 by 2 for three rows back.
2 wide, 3 deep. Great racing here. Barkel clears Sudik, who drifts a little bit up high. Meanwhile, Marcio Baroni to the outside of Trey Shadid gets a monster launch off the corner, and now he's going to be looking to the inside of Sudik.
Here comes Bruno Miranda into the picture.
And not quite doing it there.
Oh, Shadid, look at the inside. He's going to be able to pull this off again down low. Caution on the right side. Austin Rich Miller.
It's Austin Rich Miller. Oh, and now we got, is that McQuarrie?
That is the number 4, Trey Shadid. So we are caution yet again on lap 58. And let's hit the way back machine here one more time and see what happened. Again, I think another spin with no damage. Let's see what happened here.
And yes, it was another lazy spin, and I also may want to attribute that a bit to the commentator's curse. I'm very, very sorry to you, Austin. When I said that you wanted to emulate Danny Sullivan, I don't think you wanted to emulate him in that way, driving.
And I think it was kind of the same thing with Trey Shadid. What happened to Jim Wallen? He just kind of gets off the throttle, and let's see if we can get in his in-car here. He gets off the throttle, and he sees what's happening in front of him. No, actually, you know what? He was already coming around. So, identical situations for cars coming off of turn 2. We were back under caution, and we're starting to have, I think, a bit of a lesson on how to drive this track off of turn 2 developing.
Indeed, and in many ways, we're getting lessons on what not to do.
What not to do.
And unfortunately, it's a lesson that a lot of these guys have been learning on the fly, as it were, and not in the way they would want to learn on the fly, that being in practice. Unfortunately, it's happened to them in the race, but that thus is the nature of Gateway. It's never an easy track at the best of times, and while looking at track conditions right now is not exactly the best of times, especially since we're running in the day, and that's really making it show that with a setup as hard to make right as one is for Gateway, there's got to be some area where you're struggling, and unfortunately tonight, the exit at 2 for a lot of people.
Well, Nick Sudik hits the pit road there in the turn 4 racing Dallara, and throws on the last set of new shoes for his car, and he's going to have about less than 15 laps remaining. He's not going to want to waste any time whatsoever. We want to keep an eye on him because I'm sure that he will not be wanting to make any haste whatsoever. He's going to be wanting to go to the front as quickly as he can.
He will certainly want to. Again, the fresh tires are very helpful in many circumstances. Maybe not so much here, but they are a benefit nonetheless, and he's going to want to exploit that to the full. But as we mentioned, less than 15 laps to go. The time is starting to wind down for a lot of these guys' chances. And even the battle for the lead between Alexander Henry, Jesper Orman, and Dakota DeMeg, that is running out of opportunities itself. Can Orman and DeMeg put the pressure on Henry and make him fight for this win, or will it be Henry running away with a checkered flag? He's certainly put in a very stellar performance tonight. Let's see if he can go all the way with it.
Looking at the best laps turned today, and I think I'm reading this right. I think Dakota DeMay, no, actually Jesper Orman has the, actually no, it's Henry with the best lap of 178.389, Jesper Orman with a 177.5, and then it's Dakota DeMay with a 176.944. So the top 3 are 1, 2, 3 on the speed charts, as they should be.
Course, in Henry's case, he's helped by the fact that he's been running in clean air for a good while now. He's going to have a lot more grip on tap than a lot of other drivers behind him, where, of course, they have to fight through the aero push, through the aero wash of the cars around them. So Henry is very much in the catbird seat right now for this potential win, but Orman and DeMay, I don't foresee them as going to be going down lightly.
Tire situation in terms of overall, I guess we want to say freshness, maybe? I don't know. Aaron McQuarrie and Zhao Ritter have the freshest set there in the top 5. 38 laps on their current set of tires versus 43 laps for Henry Orman and DeMay. They've also managed to get around Guillermo Prequel, who has 43 laps on his set of tires. Baroni has 38. Jim Wallen, 26 after spinning, I think, again on his last set. So he's going to have to want to tread very lightly. Bruno Miranda, only 14 laps on his current set of tires, 26 for Androsi. But Nick Sudik, Austin Miller, Adriano Fraporti, Trey Shadid, and Tim Williams, even though some of those might be off the pace, have all decided to dump into the pits there and get that last set. So they will be looking to maximize this last stint as best as possible. We're getting ready to go green.
To 13 laps to go for Alexander Henry, who leads the way. Orman is all over the back of him, trying to get as good a launch as he can. The pace car is down. Henry.
Oh, Henry, great launch. Great launch
for Henry. Caught Orman completely off guard there. Can Orman capital and get back up there? Coming off of turn number 2, he's going to be struggling a little bit in the dirty air once more. But Dakota DeMay also had a really good look on him for position number 2. Meanwhile, behind them, McQuarrie and Ritter already going at it for P4. Little bit of a twitch there from Ritter on the entry to 3. He'll get a good run coming down the front straightaway, though. Not quite enough, perhaps. He's looking around, not going to be quite there yet. But already a 4/10 of a second lead for Alexander Henry. Jesper Orman is going to be looking for all of the clean air he can possibly get over that front wing. He is going to be looking for every little bit of grip he can to close the gap, perhaps, on Alexander Henry. But Henry is easily in the best position right now. Coming across the line, it's gone from 4/10 up to 9/10. Alexander Henry is on a mission tonight to get that win. Fantastic.
Watching, yeah, he got a great jump. He's got a 1.1 second lead already, so he's moved it up over a second. The clean air does wonders, especially on old tires, as he's coming up to 50 laps on that set, and we are 10 laps to go.
They've been unknown to us going into this race, but he's certainly making his name known tonight. Alexander Henry, he started third, has been running up front almost all day, running in the top 3 at the very least. And he is looking like he's going to stamp his name in the record books here tonight on the Monday night broadcast. And he is...
battle for P6. Sorry about that. Big battle for P6. They're all piling up behind Guillermo Winkle.
Marcio Baroni looking to the high line there on Perkel. He's got the run down the backstretch. Perkel running a middle line there, trying to say, hey, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And Perkel will hold on to that position. Meanwhile, behind them, Bruno Miranda looks at the inside of Jim Wallen. This is for position number 9. Position number 8, I should say.
Yep, ducks right back underneath Wallen there. Going to try to set him up coming off of 2. Oh! Miranda, yeah, that was a kiss right there.
Baroni, really sketchy moment there. Baroni trying to hold on to that position and trying to also put the pressure on Perkel, but Perkel is liking the clean air, well, the relative clean air he's got right now. And this is going to be a boom for him right now to hold on to position number 6. They've got about a 1.5 second gap back behind Joao Ritter, who is looking solid for a top 5 here tonight. Meanwhile, behind them,
3 wide.
Oh! Miranda so close to contact with Jim Wallen. He's going to be holding around the outside there on the front straight. Wallen gives up the spot. Looking a little bit, maybe stuck his nose down low, not quite doing it there. Miranda with a little twitch once more off of 2. He's going to be looking everywhere to try and get by Baroni. Baroni running that high line there. Miranda
sending it
low.
full send.
Full send.
Another position there for Miranda. That was an absolute full send if I haven't seen one already today. My goodness.
Spectacularly done by Bruno Miranda. We are on 5 laps to go here. And Miranda get by Perkel for P6. It's going to be a big ass to catch up to Ritter. I don't see it happening.
He's going to do the same thing again. Full send.
The very next lap, Bruno Miranda does it again up to P6. Well done for him. Trying to make up as much ground as he can after all the issues he's been through all night. It's still going to be a solid result, I see. Meanwhile, coming to 3 laps to go is Alexander Henry. He's got a 1.7 second lead over Jesper Orman. It's been a fantastic drive tonight for the driver of that number 18 machine.
Yep, it's just hit your marks at this point, and really with 3 to go, if a caution happens here, this race is done. Just hit your marks, keep it off the wall, and make these last couple of turns flawless, and he brings it home for a win.
Very much so. Alexander Henry doing a spectacular job here tonight. Behind them, it's Jesper Orman, Dakota DeMay, Aaron McQuarrie, and Joao Ritter. That battle is still going on for position number 4 here. Ritter looking to make as much ground as he possibly can up on this one. Meanwhile, that battle towards the rear of the top 10 is still going strong between Baroni, Wallen, and Perkel.
That is some great racing back there. Those guys are cleanly trading a lot of paint right now. Oh, and there goes there goes Miller. Apparently, he was watching Miranda. Full sends and gets 2 positions on that one.
Anything you can do, I can do as well, Bruno. Austin Rich Miller up to position number 8. But white flag is in the air. Down the backstretch once more for Alexander Henry. Into 3 and 4. And a very solid night overall gives him the best result. Alexander Henry is your winner at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
In this battle coming to the checker here. It looks like Miller might have got into the wall there in turns 3 and 4 and brought home a wounded car there, but that is going to be it.
Some contact between him and Parkel coming to the line there, so Austin Rich Miller, that move was ultimately for naught, it seems. Big shame once more for Austin Rich Miller. Put in a spectacular drive tonight, but not quite there. He still got a top 10 spot, just wasn't quite the top 10 that he wanted. But Alexander Henry started 3rd, and another name joins the ranks of people who have won on our broadcast tonight, and we'll be certainly keeping an eye on him whenever he shows up once more. Fantastic result.
Indeed. And we got still a car out there that's like he missed his pit in, but that's okay. Henry is making his celebratory donuts right there at the start-finish line. And let's take a look at tonight's final results from Gateway. Your winner, Alexander Henry, his first win of the top split season. Jesper Orman, P2. A good solid finish on his part. Dakota Maid with a podium finish there in P3. Very quietly was there all day long. Great run by him. Aaron McQuarrie. Let's see. He was up 12 spots on this particular campaign, and he finishes 4th. Joe Ritter, P5. Bruno Miranda started near the front, P6. Guillermo Prequel, P7. Jim Wallen had an adventure today, but brings home a top 10 in P8. Marcio Baroni, P9. And Austin Rich Miller had a better day going, but still salvages out a P10. Top 10 finish here at Gateway. Your top 15, Joao Androsi. Nicholas Sudik, who kind of had a mixed result day himself. Adriano Forporti, P13. Trace Shadid, P14. Tim Williams, P15. And bringing out the remainder of the field, and Alan Moreira, Chris Wilhite with a bad day, Mark Murphy, and Brian Spots rounding out 16 through 19 for our 19-car field. Go back to the main page here, and let's see if we got anybody. I know we're going to have a Dakota. I'm sure he's going to be more than thrilled to talk to people. And we got Jesper in there too. So let's go ahead and I don't know if Henry knows of the Discord, but we do wish him congratulations. And if we do see him pop on here in the next couple minutes, we will bring him in. Let's go ahead and bring up tonight's 3rd place finisher, Dakota DeMaid. Hey, Dakota, congratulations, P3. Great run on your part. Pretty much looked like a game of follow the leader out there, but you kept the nose clean and everything has kind of worked out for you.
Yeah, super happy to get 3rd, and it was, a track position race up front. There was some good battles in the midfield there for sure, but when you're chasing a car in clean air, yeah, it's kind of a bit difficult to kind of get up to them. So new tires kind of helped a bit. I think Aaron and Zhao were on newish tires. So I was kind of sweating a bit when they were closing in. There was a time where I was just debating if I wanted to pit or not, but do I want to give up track position? I don't know, but luckily it turned out in my favor tonight, so yeah, I'll take it.
Was the aero push the great equalizer when it came to those newer tires?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think newer tires still had a bit of an advantage depending on if the gap was more than 20 laps or so, which I think our gap was about 15 laps, so yeah, so it was a tough call, but yeah, glad it worked out.
Steven?
Well, overall there, it was, again, it was, like we mentioned before with the aero push, it was really hard to pass there, but were you able to, and one thing we also noticed was all the lazy spins we saw that brought out a lot of the cautions. Were you having to struggle with that for much of the race?
I wasn't really struggling with it. I thought it was kind of predictable. coming on the exits. It was a little bit loose, but you just give it a little bit of counter steer, or you just kind of set the wheel more straight on exit, and just kind of take care of itself. And it worked out for me. This setup, I really vibe with the setup well. I usually don't like gateway setups from iRacing, but this one was just perfect. It really flowed well with me. So I think that was a big difference too.
Shout outs. Anybody you want to say hi to while we got you here on the stream?
Shout out to Lucas and Alyssa. I know they're watching right now. And Sunset Arctic Games. You can follow me on Twitter at Sunset Arctic, where I got a new product, Echo Blade, coming out on Steam, coming out soon. Probably April. And then you can also check out Voltic Pistol, that's on Steam right now. And of course, Sunset Arctic Graphics, where I can do your custom iRacing paints and league graphics and results and whatnot.
He is the man when it comes to that stuff. Yeah.
There
is a personal reference right there. Yeah. and a nice livery you used tonight. We're going to see that tomorrow night in the FIS when they make our first start at Suzuka Circuit. So congrats here. Good luck there, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Get him on move down to there we go. And let's bring up Jesper. Hey Jesper, how you doing, man? First of all, great pole position. But how bad was the aero push out there today?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was pretty bad actually. I don't know if it was the aero push or what it was, but it really the field sprang out like really quickly, and it was so hard to catch up. I didn't feel like it was air push, but probably was. I don't know. But I have to say, the setup felt really good. The car was really good. Whoever made this setup did a really good job.
Steven?
Similar sentiments that Dakota DeMay had earlier. He was really enjoying the setup here tonight. But it seemed like a lot of people were having a hard time with it, and that attributed to a lot of the cautions. There are a lot of lazy spins off of turn number 2 in particular. So, and one thing I also was noticing, comparing what you were going through in the relatively dirty air behind Alexander Henry for much of the race, you're having that aero push was certainly having an issue there. Did you think that, and do you think that was what contributed to him getting as big a lead as he did?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was trying to, in turn 3, turn 4, I was trying to go low, and in turn 1 and 2, I was just trying to keep the speed I had. Like, it's really, really important that you keep the momentum in turn 1 and 2. It's kind of tricky, but I felt like, yeah, Alex, he deserved to win for sure. I felt like I was a little bit unlucky there with when the first caution came out. I was in the net lead, and there was these two guys that were fighting, and I kind of got stuck behind them, and Alexander got past me on the inside. So yeah, I feel I could have won that, but at the same time, I don't think I was as fast as Alex anyway. So good for him. Congrats to him. He deserved it for sure.
Yeah, that was like the move of the race, and that was within like the first 25 laps. Just imagine that played out over the full 75. But congratulations, another great finish for you on the top strength of field, top split fit race that we have every Monday. Shout outs, anybody want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, sure. Well, as you said, I'm really happy with the P2 for sure. Of course, you want to win, but P2 is good. And considering I had a couple of drinks before this, I did not expect a P2, but I'll take it, And a shout out, yeah, for sure. I'm going to give a shout out to our new team member in IR, AJ Muscleman. He's a great guy. He's active every day, and he spreads positivity, and yeah, he's a great teammate for us. For sure.
All right, well, there you have it. Go have yourself another drink, and we'll see you next week, man.
For sure, man.
Right,
yeah, see you, man. Bye.
There we go. He builds this connection himself. I didn't have to move him. Full service Jesper Orman.
Very nice of him.
Yeah, so final thoughts here on Gateway, Mr. Larkamp.
Well, Gateway usually turns into a bit of a hit or miss track within the iRacing service. I think this one was a pretty decent hit tonight. The racing was very good. The setup seemed to be, in many ways, as what Jesper and Dakota were describing, the polar opposite of what we normally expect with Gateway setups, which which says to me that everyone really enjoyed it, except for the part where a few of them were spinning, but that's kind of to be expected. But Gateway tonight, it really it showed Gateway in a much better light than other races I've seen where it just turns into a caution fest. But this is Gateway when it's done right, I think, especially in daytime conditions. So I think we had a pretty good running here tonight.
Next week, Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. The heart of IndyCar fans out there, it's a name that hits you kind of hard, especially for one particular reason that I'm sure we'll be talking about next week. But just moving beyond sentimentality and towards the track itself, it is certainly a 1.5 mile cookie cutter, and we all know that those can be a bit predictable in many ways. But Las Vegas, it turns out it's not quite as predictable. It lives up to the city that it's based in, where you take a gamble with the pack you run more often than not. Let's see who gets a straight flush, and let's see who has a losing hand.
Well, we will see how that pans out next week. Like I said earlier, it's a bit of a different style of racing. Probably going to see a little bit more of a pack race and a little bit less of an aero push race as we saw tonight. Well, that's going to do it from our coverage here at Gateway. And we'll get us on out of here and get the rest of you on to other streams of the night that you ever want to hit up. Thanks for joining us again, making us a part of your Monday night. That's it for tonight. Once again, your podium from Gateway is Alexander Henry, his first win of the top split season. Jesper Orman and Dakota DeMaid. Join Raceverse again next Tuesday as we'll be coming to you from, next Monday as we'll be coming to you from Las Vegas for round 6 of season 1, 2022 of the Monday Night Indy Split. That again is next Monday night, 7:15 Eastern Time on YouTube at youtube.com/Raceverse. Hey, we love bringing these races to you, but they're never easy and they require time and money to produce. If you liked our coverage of the Monday Night Indy Split and like to see us continue again for next season, please take time to visit our GoFundMe page. The link is in the description, and donate to our Monday Night Indy Split broadcast fund. Please let us know what you thought of that. Please let us know what you thought of tonight's broadcast, and let us know that you'd like to see our coverage continue beyond this season. We realize times are tough, so any contribution would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching and making us a part of your Monday evenings. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so help support Raceverse with the weekly grind. Please leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of tonight's race. If you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing the like button in the video, and if you're new, click subscribe. And while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out on more of Raceverse's iRacing programming, including our exclusive coverage of the Revolution IndyCar League Schaefer Cup IndyCar Series on Wednesdays. And starting tomorrow, it's the return of one of the most prestigious IndyCar leagues in all of iRacing. It's the Midwest. It's the winner. It's the Midwest Kidney Warriors Formula Indy Series. Join the coverage of FIS as it kicks off its 3rd season at Suzuka Circuit in Japan right here on Raceverse. And once again, announcing for Friday, May 13th. That's right, Friday the 13th. Join myself, Steven, and undoubtedly others as we will be bringing you coverage of the fixed Indy 500 bottom split. Yes, bottom split coverage on Friday the 13th. Just let that sink in, and we will see you there. For business inquiries and to learn more about Raceverse and what we do, visit raceverse.com or follow us on Twitter. Follow me at Gary Gotso on Twitter at Gary Gotso. So for Stephen Larkamp, everyone at Raceverse, and hey, Matt Houston, we are definitely thinking of you home. I am Gary Gotso saying all good night. Thanks for watching, and to all our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Thanks again. Catch us next week for the next race of the Monday Night Indy Split. Good night.